Good evening and good afternoon, everyone. How y'all doing? Check on in the chat for now. We'll get going in just a couple minutes. We'll give folks a couple minutes to roll on in. Make sure your ukes are all tuned up and ready to go before we start moving here. I'm going to drop the link in the chat. If you don't have the PDF, feel free to go grab it. You don't need it. I don't believe in PDFs. So I'm waiting for folks to trickle on here for a couple minutes. I'm just gonna play a little bit while we're going. Hey Klaus, how you doing? Where's everyone checking on in from here? I'm in London for those of you that don't know. It's nice and cool over here, unlike my home back in Philadelphia. It's quite warm. Orlando, how you doing? Howdy Chicago. We're all over. That's what I love to see. Well, good afternoon to Chicago and Orlando and Columbus for that matter. Charlotte, good. We got some East Coasters here. I haven't watched the football match. They'll gauge how good of a mood everyone's in around here. Massachusetts. Hey Margot. Hey Heidi. Oh gosh, Heidi, I just saw Arizona in the Guardian. It's on the UK news. It's so hot there. It's crazy. Poland, good to see you. Oh, good. We got a Canadian here. That's what I like to see. Jersey, that's what I like to see. I'm from New Jersey originally, so I'll forever be home, no matter what anyone tells you. Ooh, 118 in Phoenix. Give folks 2 more minutes to come in. I'm going to play, while we're waiting for folks to come in, I'm just going to play our song of the month over on the Magic Ukulele Club. This is our public live stream for the month, but over there, this is what we're working on, is something like this. Maybe I'll throw some split strokes in here. I went down to St. James Infirmary, saw my baby there. She was stretched out on a long white table, so cold, so sweet, so fair. Now I tried to keep from crying, but my eyes, they were bloodshot red. They lay my poor baby, pray to the good Lord it was me instead. Let her go, God bless her. Wherever she may be, I can search this wide world over, and I'll never find another sweet guy for me. Gotta do some split strokes in here. When I die, when I go, I want you to bury me in my hot tie, Stetson hat. Now put a $20 gold piece on my watch chain, so the boys will know that I died standing pat. And I want 6 crap shooters as my pallbearer, and some chorus girls singing me a song. Now put a Dixieland jazz band on my hearse wagon, so we can raise hell as we roll along. Let her go, let her go, God bless her, wherever she may be. She can search this wide world over, where she'll never find another sweeter man than me. A little bit of St. James Infirmary there before we get going, but it's just about time. So let's start our work. So grab your ukes. If you haven't gotten the PDF for this, I'll post it one more time in the chat so you have it. They said, you don't need it. We're very happy to do things without music here, but it's nice you can remember what we did after the fact. Makes your life a little bit easier. So today we're talking about the split stroke. And if you're not familiar with the split stroke, it's generally really connected to the music of George Formby. And what we're going to do today is decouple that technique from George Formby and think about learning it as its own separate techniques. The thing is, this doesn't come from George Formby. Formby is the one that certainly took it further than anyone else. But this technique of the split stroke actually goes back all the way to Hawaii. And I originally learned this myself, actually, from a Roy Smeck method book is where I first learned the split stroke. And players were using it a lot, even before Formby. As I said, he certainly took it to new levels. And what I want to do today is, if this is something you've tried to learn before, but have always kind of stumbled around finding the rhythms, I'm hoping that we can make that simpler today. I'm going to try to teach it in a way to you that is not usually the way that the split stroke is taught. And this is how I like to learn new rhythms and new strumming patterns, if you prefer that term. Strumming patterns are how we put rhythms on this little instrument. So our split stroke, the basic one, the one that we're going to start out with, we're going to do 3 variations today, and they're going to get increasingly harder as we go. The basic one sounds something like this. So that fun little syncopated rhythm that we do. Now, the first thing that we need to understand is that while the sound is syncopated in the split stroke, the strumming itself is not syncopated. We're actually playing with a very straight feel this whole time. Now, this is generally used in 4/4 music. So in my typical fashion, we're going to take this straight out of 4/4, and we're going to start by learning this as a waltz, because the split stroke itself is a 3-stroke pattern. And if you've learned the triple stroke before, you may be thinking of something like an 8th note triplet, but that's not what this is. These are straight 8th notes. So it's actually 1.5 beats long, the split stroke itself. The thing is, you can think about it in a lot of different ways. This is just the way that I'm going to talk about it tonight. And I'll link in the description of this video in some other lessons I've done talking about it in the more traditional manner, which starts on a different one of the strums. But we're going to think about it starting out as a waltz today. And for our purposes, we're just going to keep the left hand very simple. So we're going to use 2 chords throughout this workshop. So if you know these 2, we're good. We're going to use A minor, 2, open, open, open. And we're going to use E7, 1, 2, open, 2. Those are the 2 chords that we need. That's it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to get in the feel for it and get our chord progression the length that it needs to be for this first exercise before we start talking about how to move our hand to create the split stroke. So we're going to do 2 measures or 6 strums on each one. So we're going to start on A minor. It'll sound like this. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to E7. 1, 2, 3, 1. Join in with me. A minor. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. E7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Back to the top. A minor. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. E7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And land on A minor. All right. Rhythmically, that's what we're going to be doing for the moment. Now, when we're playing a waltz, when we're doing what's called a triple feel in really any style of music, we always have accented beats, beats that are more important than the other ones. And for us in this waltz feel, it's going to be the downbeat, beat one. So really, we don't think of a waltz as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. No, we're thinking of 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. That's the feel that we want. And we're going to use our split stroke at first to accomplish that feel. So if we put down our A minor chord, we're going to do something. We're going to count out loud together, and we're just going to strum beat one because we want to feel that accented, that important beat, and what that feels like before we try to apply it with a strumming. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Just on beat one. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. E7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Back to A minor. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3 to E7. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Great. Now we're going to talk about the strumming pattern, which is really the way that I think about the motion of the hand. And then we're going to talk about how to dial that motion in. First, let's get our rhythm and our wrist just moving in the correct motion. And then we'll talk about how to really tune this in so we're feeling the split stroke. So this is going to be a little bit awkward. It's going to be down, up, down. That's our full pattern, those 3 strokes. So we're going to go down, up, down, which means that we're going to end up with 2 downstrokes in a row, right? So for this 2 measure pattern, we're really going down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. All right, so let's try that together. We're not worried about plucking any individual notes, anything like that, just the motion of the wrist and the rhythm itself right now. Feel free to say that strumming pattern, the motion of our hands out loud. I always feel that really helps if you just tell your hand what it needs to do in the moment. So we're starting on A minor. And actually, let's just hang out on the A minor. We're not even going to complicate things with an E7 to begin with. We're just going to do this. So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So good. Down, up, down, 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 down, up. Now let's try that with our 2 chords. So 2 measures of A minor, 2 measures of E7 with this strumming pattern. And we're going to start to fine tune this in there. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down, down, up. E7, down, up, down, down, up. Down A minor, down, up, down, down, up. Down E7, down, down, up. Down A minor. E7, A minor, E7. Good, let's stop there. And you're saying to yourself, this sounds nothing like a split stroke, and I absolutely agree with you. What we're working on first is getting the wrist going smoothly. Now, you'll note one thing when I'm playing this, and I'm a little lucky in this that I play soprano and I hand hold it. And that means that my arm has to hold my uke, right? So those of you, if you're playing tenor uke or if you're using a strap, you might find that you make a larger motion than you actually need to. And we're going to speed this up very fast in a little bit. So it's very important from the beginning when you're moving this to think about the rotation coming just from the wrist. None of this. And our plane of motion needs to be as close to the strings as possible. We don't need to go much further than this. So we want to make sure of that. Now I'm going to show you my hand position here. We're going to strum entirely with the index finger for this. And if you would like, you don't have to do this. You can brace your thumb behind it like this. Right now, I'm not pressing into it like really hard. All right. You want to make sure that you're not doing that because we don't want to tense up our hand. But placing the thumb here just gives a little bit of rigidity. And you can see that my finger just sticks out a little bit from my thumb, right? So my downstrokes are really going to have that nail in there. My upstrokes are going to be with the pad of my index finger. We're not going to be plucking anything individually here. We're going to be using this sort of guitar pick that we make with our finger to do all the motions. So if we try this with our A minor and we think about keeping that wrist loose, relaxed, and mobile, not moving the arm at all, keeping everything really tight like this. And we're coming down. We're going to do the same exact thing now, our down, up, down pattern. And then we're going to start to refine things from there so we can get our full split stroke. So here we go. Same exercise. but we're going to think about that wrist motion now and what our index finger is doing, keeping everything really close here, right? 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down, down, up, down. E7, up, down, down, up, down. A minor, down, up, down, down, up, down. E7, down, down. Good. So by now your wrist should be getting accustomed to this. And if it's not working out for you right now, that's okay. Just take some time. Always come back to this and start with these more basic things. Getting the motion first is what's important. Now we need to start isolating some notes. Remember that we have that big accented note on beat 1 of our 3-stroke pattern here in this waltz. So that's going to be our only big down strum where we're actually going to play the whole chord. All right. So we're going to come down on the first stroke now. Big down stroke. That upstroke, we're going to do our best just to hit the A string. If you happen to hit the E string in there, it doesn't matter at all. Even when we go into the 4/4 split stroke and we're doing the full pattern here, it's okay if you happen to hit 2 notes, but we don't want to hear that. We want to hear hit a little bit of E string there, so down, up, and then finally, our last stroke, that last downstroke in our 3-stroke pattern, we're going to just bounce off of the G string. You think of just touching the G string, and then we come down. So the beat 1 is this full accented beat. So we're doing our best just to hit the G string. Again, if you happen to hit the C with it, no big deal. Nobody's perfect. I'm certainly not. So our full pattern, I'm going to get a little closer to the camera for this. You can see my right hand a little bit. I'll do it from a couple different angles as well. Is this. We have all the way through down, up on just the A, down, all the way through, up on just the A, bounce with the down, then through, let's try it that slow together and do your best at this stage to start to isolate those notes, and we'll start to feel that accent on 1. And we're just going to stay on the A minor for a second. We won't even worry about that second chord. 1, 2, 3. Down, up, bounce off the G, up, bounce off the G, all the way through. Speed up. So trying to isolate those notes. All right, now let's add in our chord progressions. We'll start to hear this little moving melody between the G string and the A string. We'll hear this. Here's something like that going on. So we're going to do, again, 2 of these strums a piece. We're thinking of this split stroke now as a 3-stroke strum with a full down, partial up, partial down. That's our full stroke, all right? Start it slow and we'll build up the speed. 2 measures of each chord. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Down, up, down, down, up, down. E7th. Back to A minor. Down, partial up, bounce, down, up, bounce. E7th. A minor. E7th. Speed it up. E7th. Speed it up. A minor. E7th. Then we're really starting to go off to the races. So before you dive into any of these 4-stroke split stroke patterns that we're about to start working on, practice this. practice the split stroke waltz. And I'll link below in the description of this when we sign off today. I did a whole lesson on doing the split stroke as a waltz using Take Me Out to the Ball Game of all the songs in the world. But it's a great way to practice this. And again, bring it outside of the music that we think of it being used for so much, and be able to practice just the motion itself. The motion is awkward, and we want to be able to isolate the G string and the A string. But what we're really working on here is providing those accents. So as we said, the split stroke creates a syncopated feeling, even though, as we can see in this waltz, we're playing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, right? That's what we're playing right now. The syncopation becomes when we put this in a 4/4 meter, when we 4 beats to the measure, and these are eighth notes. So we have 8 potential places to place a strum within here. We're going to use every single place, all 8 of these. But because of how we align these groupings of 3, it's going to displace the accents. These big down strums we're going to place them on off beats, not on 1, 2, 3, 4, but maybe we'll place it on 1, 2, and 3, 4, 1, 2, and 3, 4 by going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So what we need to think about is how many groupings of 3 do we have? Now this provides a little math, right? Because 3 does not evenly divide into 8, does it? So for today, we're going to keep these as 1 measure patterns. Most of the George Formby patterns that you will find go into 2 measure patterns. Today, we're going to stick it in this shorter little version, which is going to give us all but one of the ways that we can start out our split stroke, which is starting on the end of 1. But this allows us to think about it in a totally different light and think about really clave rhythms is what we're thinking about. So if you have the worksheet, the first feel that we're going to do is the one that most people learn as their first split stroke, but I wanted to explain it to you in a different way. So when most folks teach the split stroke, and when I teach it in a strictly Formby style, we actually start on that double downstroke. We think down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. But what are we doing? We're thinking down, up, up. So we're actually moving everything over an eighth note. And this enables us to better look at it as a clave rhythm and feeling where this is. So what we're going to do is we go through these 3 exercises, and I tried not to get them all confused in my head, is to think about where these accents are and where our groupings of 3 are. So the first one we're going to do is a habanero rhythm. So we're thinking we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We have 8 eighth notes in each measure, all straight. These are not swung. If you play swing music a lot, these are straight eighth notes that we're going to do. We're going to divide that into 2 groupings of 3 and 1 grouping of 2. So our normal subdivision is this. We're feeling the pulse. We're feeling 1, 2, 3, 4. Just clap along with me. Pat your foot. 3, 4. And our subdivision that we're feeling is like if we had a shaker behind us, a percussionist playing, they're playing 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's going to give us every little place that we have potential to strum in this style, right? If we're thinking just the split stroke, we're thinking these straight eighth notes, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and. All right, so we're going to keep this going. All right, here's our pulse. But now we need to find our accents, right? Where are our groupings of 3? And today we're always going to have an accent on beat run. So da, 2, 3, 4. Say that first one with me. Da, 2, 3, 4. Da, 2, 3, 4. Now what we're going to do is we're going to start out with one of those groupings of 3. So 1 and 2 and 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So let's keep tapping our foot. All right, this is your foot tapping because I'm going to clap our accented rhythm with this in a moment. I'm tapping my foot along, but I can only keep so many beats at once. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to do 2 groupings of 3 and 1 grouping of 2, which is going to reset us at the end of the measure so that we can make this a continuous pattern. And this is going to be the accent pattern that we feel when we play this most basic of the split strokes, our 1 measure split stroke. We can think this as a 3-3-2 clave rhythm or a habanero clave. So we hear this. So here's our beat, and we're thinking ta 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 ta. That was our subdivision. And we're thinking 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. So that's what we want to feel as our underlying rhythm when we play this split stroke. So it's going to sound like this. So it's going to sound like this. Great question in the chat from Dakota. They are not triplets. Triplets would take the beat and one pulse and subdivide it into 3. These are groupings of 3 straight eighth notes, right? So it's 1. So it's really 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that's where a lot of folks get mixed up because it's a 3-stroke pattern. We innately want to play it as a triplet. We want to play da 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 da, but it's not. It da 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 da. So it's 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and all straight eighth notes. The syncopation is an illusion. It's where we're placing the accents in here. We'll see this when we put our split stroke pattern in. So it's, yeah, I know what you mean by saying it's hard not to hear it as a triplet. You can think it even as like 2 bars of 3 and 1 bar of 2 for this one. As it goes, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, which is kind of how I hear it as well. You know, that's our underlying clave pattern that's here. So what we're doing, since we have 2 groupings of 3, right? That is our little waltz pattern that we were doing, our down, up, down. And then all we're going to do is add on a down up strum at the very end of this, because that resets us. That gives us 3 plus 3 plus 2 is 8. We need to equal 8 at the end of this. All right. Don't try to do too much math in your head. So we get our down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. And that's one full pattern. So let's try this together. Remember, whenever we have those groupings of 2 down strums in a row, right? That first down strum, we're just going to be bouncing off of the G string the entire time. And that's what's so important, because then we get that isolation, we get that moving melody. So we're going to take this really, really slow. Again, we're going to start just on the A minor chord. We're not going to add in the E7th yet. Keep it on just the A minor and say the motion of your hand with me. All right, so let's try this, because we already have that 3 feel in our hand, right? Our hand is already trained to do that motion that we're doing. So here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Real slow. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Reset. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up again, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up. Let's speed it up. Down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down. That's our little pattern. This is our habanero rhythm. Someone mentioned 12th Street Rag here. I love to do this as a 12th Street Rag as well. Such a fun little pattern. You don't have to use this in George Formby tunes. You can use it in a host of different things, right? So let's go back to this pattern. Let's try it with our chord progression. We just have 2 chords. We're going to do 2 measures of each. So our whole thing's going to sound like this. So we have down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down. E7. To the A minor, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, down. E7. A minor. E7. Faster. E7, A minor, E7. Let's go. All right, so this is just one way that we can do it. And although we're going to go through all three patterns here, because I want to show you something else at the end, which is also a lot of fun on 12th Street Rag, thinking of, which is using the fan stroke in this pattern. I want to go through these three rhythms with you, but don't expect to get all of these and internalize them in the hour that we have today. It's going to take a little bit of time. The key thing is that you want to be able to come back and know what to practice. You have the worksheet. It's on my website. You go download that, practice one of these a week. Get it under your fingers. Get that wrist motion going. Get used to where we can place these little accents in here. That's the fun, right? So let's go on to our next split stroke pattern, right? So before we were starting out with our three stroke pattern, we're going 3, 3, 2, right? Always has to add up to 8 because we're sticking in one measure this time. Unlike Formby, who usually went across measures, we're going to practice this all in one measure increments to start. And then we can start to string things together once we have a few patterns and puzzle pieces under our fingers. So now we're just going to reverse our clave feel. So we're going to do 2, 3, 3. All right. So we're going to do 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. All right. So let's clap along with this. And we want to feel that accent, right? We want to feel that little accent in there. So here's our 4. Everything fits in 4. Let's get our beat and our subdivision first, and then we'll feel the accent pattern. So we get 1, 2, 3, 4. Right? Just feeling where that pulse is. That pulse isn't going to change. 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then our subdivision, right? Our 8th note. So 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and feeling that. Now our groupings of 2 and 3. So you get 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and so we get 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be a little bit harder. I said that basic split stroke pattern is one that we kind of hear a lot, that tresillo or habanero rhythm. We hear in a lot of different styles of music. These next two patterns are really to challenge you to think outside of the box of what we can do rhythmically and challenge yourself to try something that might be outside of it. So what kind of strumming pattern does that give us? Right, so we're starting with a down up strum and then 2 groupings of 3. So it's down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up. Right, so this is going to displace our accents a little bit. What I want to do is play this really slowly with the chords in there. So where this gets awkward is when we get the chord change in there. It's really easy to kind of fall into the feeling of this being the same as the other one, but we're actually turning the rhythm around backwards. So it's going to sound like this. So you get. So we're going backwards here. We're putting our 2 at the beginning instead of at the end. So let's try the second one nice and slowly together. Start to get a feel for it. But again, go back, feel those accents first, and then try to play the pattern. But we're gonna go for gold here. We're gonna get the whole darn thing going. All right, so here we go. So if you're looking at the worksheet that we have, this is the 2 plus 3 plus 3 split stroke. Remember, all roads lead to 8. That's what's important here. All right, we're going to try this. Let's do it just on A minor for a second. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We get down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce to E7th, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, bounce to A minor, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce E7th, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, A minor. So we were just working this other one. It's going to feel really awkward to go back and forth. This is why I recommend just taking one a week when you're working through this page and go through it systematically. Go through it slowly. Feel these little accents patterns that are in there and really get them in your heart. Feel that pulse of the music so that when you want to bring this out in a piece of music that you're playing, you can have it there for you. And we were talking about 12th Street Rag. St. Louis Blues is another great one in the B section of this tune. You could, well, that St. Louis woman with her diamond rings, pull that man around by her apron string, went for that powder or that store-bought hand. You know that gal I love wouldn't go no way, no way. I hate to see. There's a lot of different applications for this, whether you're playing swing music, you're playing Latin music. There's a lot of different things that we can do here. So let's look at that last little pattern on here. And this is the one that always throws me, which is why I put it on here. I figure if it's a challenge, I got to think about it. We should all learn how to do it. Step outside your comfort zone is what this is about. Whether you want to do Formby stuff, you want to play bossa nova. We were working on this split stroke as a usage for bossa nova last month in our live stream. You go back and look at that. We've used it for samba in the past before using it for habaneros. But the main thing is adding a new rhythm, a new feel to your repertoire, a new motion for your hand on this instrument. We don't get stuck in that box, right? As uke players, so often we get to the box of sticking to our strumming pattern that we always do. For many of us, that's the island strum, right? And it's hard to break out of that box once we're in it. So practicing new rhythmic concepts like this, whether you think that you'll use it in your music or not, is important to start to break outside of those molds and create just a new palette for you to draw from while you're playing, right? So let's look at this last little rhythmic pattern here, and then I want to talk about the fan stroke a little bit because we need something fancy to do in here. And I'll show you how to do our fan stroke because it's actually a great way to practice these rhythms as well. So, right, we had our 3 + 3 + 2 split stroke. Then we turned the clave around. We had 2 + 3 + 3, right? So there's only one other real way that we can use this in a one measure pattern. As soon as we elongate it to 2 measures, we get a bunch more different rhythms that we can do, which is putting that grouping of 2 in the middle. So going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. And you said it's very easy to turn this around and think that it's the same as one of the other ones, but our syncopations are coming on very different beats. So let's go back, find our pulse and 4 again, find our subdivision, and then find out where we're actually accenting the notes here, right? So here's our pulse. 1, 2, 3, 4, right? 1, 2. We can always return to this. This is the heartbeat of the music. All right. And then we get our little subdivision here. We're thinking 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. And we want to keep our foot tapping along with that because we got to do our groupings of 3 and 2 now. But it's all sitting on that grid of 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2, 3 and 4. Right? That's our sort of grid that's going on. So now we're feeling this as 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's a hard feel to do and not turn around. Where is my beat 1? It's really easy to turn this around. So if we take this, and what I want to do first is we're just going to strum just our down strum accents on this one with an A minor chord. All right. And we're going to count this out loud so we can start to feel that beat. And then we're going to add in our E7th because that's going to keep us in line while we're doing it. Then we'll put in our full split stroke strum, our one measure split stroke strum, our final variation to 3 plus 2 plus 3. All right. So here we go. So we're going to come down 1, 2, all down strokes. 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. E7, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. A minor, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. E7, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. A minor, 1, 2, 3. Feel how we're feeling like we're stumbling into that. It's so awkward. And that awkwardness is what makes this fun and what makes it beautiful and makes you think more about how these rhythms are applied versus just learning the strumming pattern, right? You can always go and just learn down, up, down, up, down, up. That's what you do. In this case, it's down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down, up, down, down, up, down, up, down, down. Right? It's a long strumming pattern on here. We can memorize all of that. But if we're not feeling the pulse, the subdivision, as well as our accented beats in there, we're not really going to be able to pull it out. All right. So let's take this last one on here real slow. And then we're going to talk about the fan stroke for a couple minutes and what we can do on there. All right. So A minor, here we're going. This is, as I said, this is the tough one for me. So expect me to fall off the train at some point while we're doing this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce E7th, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce E A minor, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce E7th, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, down, up, bounce, down, up, down, up, bounce, A minor. Very slowly going through that. So we have these 3 key rhythms. Now, if you're starting out with the split stroke, you can learn just these 3. As I said, this will give you all but one starting place in the measure, which is if we start on our double down stroke, which would be which is just another way to do it. But if you get these first 3 rhythms, you'll really be off the races and your wrist will know what to do. That's what's important. So if you want to learn George Formby tunes, when you go to learn them and you see these patterns in context, you'll have already trained your hand to do this. And if you don't want to learn George Formby tunes, you can start to apply these to other types of music. As I said, I'll link below to my full split stroke playlist. You can go through the different applications of this. This is really, really useful in swing music. These split strokes can be swung as well. We're talking about this as a straight 8 pattern, but we could do swing our split strokes. And so, what I mentioned earlier, although we're not doing this as a triplet here, we can play it as a triplet, which is fun too. It's a 3-stroke pattern. Why can't we play it as a triplet? So we go. There's a lot of different ways. If we don't need to just pigeonhole this into being for playing George Formby split stroke, there's so many other rhythmic applications for it and genre applications as well. So let's talk about the one fun thing here, which is the fan stroke. People love this. This was something that Formby did, and I think this might have just been his invention. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't. I got some research to do, but it looks like this. We're playing our little split stroke, right? So how do we get that cool little illusion? Well, it's just our split stroke, but we're using different fingers. That's all that the key is here. So we'll think about this. We'll go back to our first one, right? I think that's the easiest one to feel this on is our 3+2. So we're feeling this. So here's our pulse. We're doing 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. We're feeling that, right? So our fan stroke is a 3-stroke pattern as well. So we're going to have that downstroke there. So here's the key to our fan stroke is it's all an illusion. Get up close with this. So all we're doing is down, down, up. That's our fan stroke. That's the pattern is down, down, up, down, down, up. But we're going to use different parts of our hand. The first stroke is the real fun one on here that comes down with a pinky coming down. There we go. Sorry, I think my video froze there for a moment. So just to show, our pinky comes down first. You're going to flick out with it and let all of these other fingers come out alongside it. So you could start in this nice relaxed position like we had, but then we flick out the pinky and hit our strings, right? There it is. And then our second down strum is with the thumb. So we go pinky, thumb, up. Pinky, thumb, up. So we put this over our pattern. We think about it. So we're doing 3, 3, 2, right? Was our band 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So we're gonna do fan stroke, down, up. So it's like this. It's pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up. Again, pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up, then E7, pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up with the index, pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up, A minor, pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up, E7, pinky, thumb, up, pinky, thumb, up, down, up. All right, so that's our whole pattern. If you want to practice the fan stroke, it takes a little bit of time to get this together, but let's try it up to speed and see what this sounds like. This is a fun one. So this works really well on 12th Street Rag because 12th Street Rag, the melody has a 3-3-2 feel to it. So this little pattern that we're working on works perfectly for a tune like that, but we're going to do it over top of our A minor and E7 chords. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4. Fan, down, up, E7, A minor, E7, A minor. You go up and practice the fan stroke, and wherever you have these 3-stroke patterns, you can also use the fan stroke in place of that. So that was our 3-3-2 pattern, but we could also do something if we were doing the second pattern here, the 2-3-3. We could go down, up, fan. We could just reverse that and use it for any of those 3-stroke patterns. And that's the key with all of this fun strumming stuff, is to just take your time, figure it out, and then just start applying it. Let it start coming out in your playing. That's what's so, so important here. So thank you everyone so much for joining me and taking the time out of your afternoons and evenings and nights to hang out and play uke a little bit. If you have any questions, feel free to hop over to my website. Just shoot me an email. I'm always happy to help you out. And if you want to learn more about this and do more live streams, join us over on the Magic Ukulele Club, where we have 2 live streams a month, and then we bring in a guest instructor as well. And this month, we actually have the wonderful Phil Dolman doing a little workshop for us, which I'm really excited about. We're spending the month on the Magic Ukulele Club, working on that tune I played at the beginning, St. James Infirmary. And we've got seven lessons coming out throughout the month on how to solo over that tune, all of the possible chords you could ever play, a backing track to practice along with all the fun stuff. And you know what? This could actually work really well over top of St. James Infirmary. So thanks for hanging out, everyone. I'll see you all soon.